Hey, boys and girls. Welcome to Age Blind with Nancy A. Shenker, also known as Nancy AF. And I have an amazing group lined up today. Our theme for the month of March has been all about making your own luck. Or as somebody said to me, fuck luck, that it's really all about what we do in our daily lives to make things happen. So, having been on this earth for 70 years, even though I am age blind and the date on your birth certificate is meaningless, it's more about what we have in common than what divides us. I have found over those 70 years that sometimes things happen, call them karma, call them kismet, call them woo-woo, call them manifestation, call it the secret, but shit happens when you least expect it. And just even 2 weeks ago, I went to an event that I really was not in the mood to go to. I dragged my sorry ass there. I put on my clothes and my makeup. I mean, I always wear clothes, but I put on my big girl clothes and ended up talking to this woman who I really believe will change the trajectory of the next 6 months, if not longer, because we met for a drink and there are all of these things that she now wants to do with me and things that I want to do with her professionally. So it opened a door to all kinds of possibilities. And it would not have happened if I hadn't signed up for this event, put on my big girl pants, and actually gone there. And so stay tuned. I'll let people know later on how they can find me and follow me. But I will be sharing the many tales of what came out of that relationship. So I'm actually going to start with my oldest tenured connection on the podcast. I've known Betsy for almost 7 years. She's been a guest multiple times on Age Blind because, as I like to say, she's a fan favorite. Every time she comes on, we go viral. So, Betsy, who are you? How did we meet? And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll go around the room. Everybody will say how we met, which is in and of itself kind of woo-woo. And then I'll give you each a chance to talk about something that happened in your life that was manifestation, the secret, unexpected, luck, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Okay. So we met. I moved to Arizona about 7 years ago. I didn't know anybody. And luck, kind of, but it's showing up, like you were saying. I went on Facebook and I saw you, and I mentioned that I was new to the area and that you were from New York. I used to live in New York. We felt like there was that connection. And then you reached out to me and said, we should have coffee. And then we met and had coffee, and you were the first person I met, my first friend in Arizona. It was pretty exciting.
And we're friends to this day. I joined Betsy's Bunko group, which has opened doors to many other women who I would never have met. And I was so resistant. Right. I'm like, I don't do Bunko, don't want to do Bunko, don't like Bunko. And now I'm like pretty much a regular.
Right. Exactly. Yep. You got to show up. You never get out of your comfort zone and check it out.
And Ariel, you're my newest real world connection. So go for it. How did we meet? What do you do? And Betsy is a professional organizer. We'll talk about that in a little while. So yes, you can include now like what you do for a living, and then we'll get back to how people can find you.
Wonderful. Yeah. Ariel Norris. I own a marketing and branding company called Muse Street Marketing. We work very heavily in interiors and architecture. But we cross other industries too. So holistic health and wellness. We work heavily in substance misuse prevention as well, and a few other categories. So we've definitely got some outliers, but then kind of our core pillars in there too that we work really well with. So, and Nancy, you and I met, I think about a year ago. I had just moved offices. I moved our company from somewhere, the Fashion Square Industrious up to the one in Kierland. And obviously it was newer. You're just meeting people, is like a little bit easier to connect with others. And I think you said something very kind to me. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had been looking at you. I'm like, here is this like sexy, I didn't know. When you told me how old you were, I was like, I do not believe her. But I was like, she's just as confident and strong. And then you ended up saying something to me. So I was like, how cool is this? And now we're neighbors. So definitely came full circle.
Yeah, that's the woo-woo part. I moved into a new building in July, And Ariel was at one of the events in the lobby. And I'm like, you look really familiar. And then we figured out how we had met once before. So that's like repeat kismet. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, you could argue if you want to be a pragmatist and say, well, we have similar tastes in office space. We had similar tastes in apartment buildings, but it's still, Arizona's a pretty big place. Like, what are the odds? My namesake, Nancy.
Thank you. I'm Nancy Rosenfeld, and I'm a nonfiction author and a longtime speaker. And my latest book is about synchronicity. It's about a miraculous escape from World War II Europe, where his survival was because of synchronicity. And it's a true story. It's my father's true story. We met, Nancy, on a Facebook group. You made a post and I responded, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, which is, and as I was saying earlier, I try to only spend a few hours a day on digital media, but it has been an amazing way for me to meet like-minded people. And I end up booking a lot of my podcast guests just from random connections on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. Maybe one day, maybe not. But Heather, this was kind of weird and funny. So
yeah, I am a publicist, and I was actually pitching a different client to Nancy. Turns out she was definitely not the right client for this show. So Nancy said, "Hey, how about you?" So I said, "Sure." So that's how I ended up here. I work with authors, I work with experts, coaches, consultants, I work with CEOs, entrepreneurs, and I really love what I do because I get to expand their visibility and bring them into a place where they wouldn't have the kind of budgets that would, allow for like a $20,000, retainer with a big agency. So it's just me. So I get to, bring that into their business and expand their authority and sort of let them have the spotlight, which I love.
yeah, and I love having PR people as guests on the Salt Box. That's what this episode is called, Sex, Life, and Tech Across the Generations, because publicists and marketing people rarely get to be in the limelight. We spend all our time as the helping our clients get the limelight. So whenever a PR person pitches me on a client and they've got a great pitch, I'm like, I don't want your client. I want you, because, they also have been media trained and they tend to show up on time, which makes my life a lot easier. So love the PR people, love the marketing people, love the people who've had media training, media experience. And Franny, what you do for a living is one of the most interesting things I have ever heard. So hit it, Franny.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Nancy. It's lovely to meet
My
you.
pleasure.
Everyone. Yeah, I'm an author and a performer and a humming queen. Nervous system regulation. Humming is one of the more popular techniques, tools, processes that I teach. And I've met you because of the glorious Charlotte Tomek, who is my PR gal. I've not met Charlotte yet, but the way that I was connected to her is auspicious. I was writer in residence years ago at a beautiful little boutique hotel in Miami Beach, South Beach, called the Betsy, and an amazing celebrity photographer who happens to be a humanitarian, Robert Zuckerman. I was friends with Charlotte, and also I believe that she was, anyway, he recommended her to me, and he ended up being my great friend. And so here we are.
Yeah, and Charlotte has to come on as a guest sometime too, because she is like as I like to say, an OG of PR, where she really believes in relationships and client service, and everybody who she has sent to me so far has been spot on and showed up on time. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I've had PR people ghost me for the show, and I'm like, if you do that, why would I ever recommend you as a PR person? Because especially as the world is taken over by AI, for better or worse, human connection and human responsibility is going to become that much more important.
I am loving working with her. I have to tell you, she's a darling. She's so good. And I was a girl guide, so that's why I should have.
And the humming thing, I didn't even realize when I worked in corporate, whenever I was under a particularly tense situation or suffering from imposter syndrome, I would hum the theme from the Little Rascals. in my head, which just like
Right.
did two things. It distracted me and it gave me a sense of levity, that really annoying do 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 do. And that'll be stuck in all of your heads all day. But
I hope so.
that has been my relaxation technique. So fascinated by what you do. So now let's just quickly go around the room because again, this podcast is 20 minutes long and I really try to stick to that. So speed round, like speed dating. Let's just very quickly in the same order. What's one thing that happened in your life that you think was like one of those woo-woo karma kismet moments? And what action did you take as a human to just follow along with the universe? Betsy.
So I have actually won a helicopter ride to see Sting. I've won trips, I've won computers, I've won door prizes, I've won tickets, you name it. I have won it. I have a very positive outlook that if I enter something, I will win it. I visualize it.
Yeah.
And recently in New Year's Eve, I bought a raffle ticket. There were 1,000 people. I said to my boyfriend, I'm going to win it. And I won it. So yes, it's luck, but yes, you have to participate. I enter I enter things and then I visualize that I'm going to win it. And a lot of times I do.
Love that.
So
And it's interesting because Betsy can be very pragmatic and cynical in her day-to-day life. So when I found out about it, I'm like, whoa, I'm just going to need to rub Betsy's head more often, not in a creepy way. Yeah, the first 2 times I went to Bunko, I cashed out both times. I won both big prizes. So yes.
I used to win all the time at Bunko, but then people got really upset about it. So then I dialed it back. So.
And Ariel, I know you
would win.
I know, Ariel, you're a big believer in astrology. So I'm sure you have a great story of something that you manifested that happened that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah. Well, first, I'm highly logical too. So it's funny. People kind of get that version first. And then they're like, wait, there's this other side. So Nancy, on your latest podcast, I think it was the most recent, you mentioned how luck isn't totally random, but it's not something you just magically manifest. And that resonated for me because everything in my life has been action, right? But it's like being led that direction. So in light of that, my weird woo-woo story started at very logistical. I believed in all these things, whatever, but it was actually for a capstone course years ago. I'm back home in the Midwest in Indiana. I'm engaged at the time. I'm stuck in Indiana. I'm not going anywhere, right? And I, for this capstone course, was forced to write down what it would look like to live in another environment. It was for a marketing capstone too. So you consider all the demographics, the environment, all of those things. And we created a timeline. Mine was a perfectly organized book. It was laminated. I still have it, of course, which you'll find out why, all the things. And it had a timeline of when I would move to Arizona, to Phoenix, which is what I wrote down, starting a marketing company within a certain amount of period of time, like all these little timeline things that did end up happening, not in that order. I started my company 7 years ago back home. And all these weird synchronicities happened in between. But then eventually, I've got it tattooed on my arm, something related to the desert. All of it, everything drove me to Phoenix to the point I couldn't sleep anymore. And so one day I just decided, obviously I needed a few months leeway. I went to my family and said, we're doing it. I'd already cut the engagement off a year and a half prior. And I was ready. It freaks people out when they actually read the book and can see.
Oh yeah, I have to see it. I'm getting goosebumps.
I'll bring
and
it.
Nancy, I know you said you wrote a book about your father. Did you want to talk about something that happened to you or something from the book? I'm fine either way.
Sure. Thank you. So I used to be a CFO, very left brain, and now I speak about tribal wisdom and metaphysical experiences. I believe that synchronicity is seemingly unrelated events that converge just at the time and place you need them to. For me, I was contemplating leaving my career as a strategic planning consultant and traveling for an indefinite period of time until I had to stop. And I was looking in front of my rental house, and there was one day a for sale sign, and I'm thinking, I have to move now. And then I yelled, it's a sign
Literally.
to go. And I ended up, that was the nudge. I traveled for 8 months. I ended up writing a book called I Am Doing This. And here I am living in Maui, Hawaii 7 years later.
Beautiful.
And
Love.
funnily enough, the sign was in front of the wrong house, but it didn't even matter because that was the nudge that gave
right.
me, yes, it resonated with me. And I truly believe when you feel that excitement and that adrenaline, take action. And as it relates to this book, my father's life, the book is called 50 Cents for a Life, a true story of surviving by synchronicity. It's a converging of what seems like unrelated events at the exact same time. He had 3 days to escape Lithuania, and he took action on that synchronicity.
And you wouldn't be
Amazing.
here if not for that. So, when those things happen
That's
and
right.
then you like project them forward and say, if not this, then that would not have happened, which is what I
Exactly.
really love. Again, once you've been on this earth for a long time, you're collecting those examples. And then you realize that, we are not always in control of the outcome. As you said, sometimes it's right place, right time, but at the end of the day, right action. Heather, what about you?
I was obsessed with people on the radio when I was growing up. I know there's a few people here from New York. I used to tape record 106.7 Light FM, play it back, and repeat everything that the DJs used to say. So I was just obsessed with people on the radio. And then eventually, when I started working in my 20s, I was a marketing assistant. And the company was heading off to Mountain View, California, not taking any of us with them. So I decided to go back to Hofstra and I took radio courses and I became the intern for the professor of the morning show. And my first week there, the Long Island Railroad had a job action. He sent me over to the Huntington station. He said, go to the Huntington station, give me a 30-second news report. Okay. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I did. I wrote a 30-second script on the back of a train schedule. I called in. I did that 30-second report. There was another program director from another radio station who heard that 30-second report and hired me based off that 30-second report to fill in for his news director who was going on maternity leave. And that kicked off my 22-year career in broadcasting, that 30-second news report that I did from the back of the train schedule. So I think you're absolutely right, Nancy. It was a combination of luck and being ready, because if I had not talked along with those DJs all those years and tape recorded Valerie Smaldone from Light FM, I wouldn't have
Oh,
been ready
man.
when the
I
opportunity
remember her.
presented itself.
Yeah. And for those listeners who don't know what radio is, it was the precursor to podcasting and TikTok. There's nothing new in the world. It's just the media has changed. But people always like listening to random people talking about shit. And if they didn't, you wouldn't be listening right now. Again, the only thing that's changed is the media, that anybody could be a radio host or a TV host in this weird new TikTokian dystopia, as I call it. And Franny, last but not least.
Yes. All right. Well, a very pivotal moment for me was I was dealing with some women's issues, which you're all familiar with. And I normally could handle all kinds of things naturally. Nothing was stopping the bleeding. So, long story short, this very attractive woman over here was wearing a bulky diaper for the first time. Very sexy, right? And so I'm on a cruise with the boyfriend at the time, wearing the diaper. It exploded. It freaking exploded. It was the most embarrassing thing in the world, but we could not stop laughing because it was just so bizarre. Because when you wear a diaper, you're not supposed to submerge in water. Well, I wasn't familiar with the territory. So I call this the case of the exploding diaper. But the good news is it led me to go, I have nothing left to lose. It was like a sign to go forward and do what I needed to do. I was holding on. The reason I couldn't stop bleeding, I was holding on to a family secret. So, okay. Encapsulated, I decided to transform my family secret into a solo full-length show. Ran it by my family, was threatened with legal action, not outing anybody, just for me, because I was stuck in an aspect of my life. And the good news is I went ahead and did it. And it completely took me on a totally different trajectory of my life. Immediately got international press. Hollywood came knocking. Arthur Hiller, who you may all be too young to know, but he was the legendary director of Love Story. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. I was invited to the Capitol as an honorary guests, got keys to 2 cities, blah, blah, blah. And the best part is my 86-year-old father, who was still living a lie undercover in his native Vienna, Austria, who had been one of the people who had threatened me to take me to court, wrote me a letter of thanks for giving him the courage to come out publicly as who he was. And that is the feather in my cap. So thank you, Exploding Diaper.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you realize as you get older. We were talking earlier before we went on air that as you age, you just lose some of that, giving a shit, as I call it, and you become more fearless and you become more of who you always were and not apologetic. And I think it's interesting that it's all women on today's show. It's not usually that way, but, we as women have many lives within us. And as we evolve, we do continue to change in a lot of ways. Nothing against men, but I have found that I do find that women are much more open to reinventing and experimenting than a lot of older men. Again, no generalizations. I am age blind, but it is something that I do deal with day in and day out. So anyway, if people would like to find you and hire you for what you do, again, let's follow the same order and I'll go last. Betsy.
So I own a company called Clutterbusters, and we help people get organized in their homes and their offices. The location is in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And I just celebrated our 24th year in business, and we've done over 100,000 hours of organizing. So our tagline is, we ain't afraid of no mess, and I have seen everything. So the best way to reach me is you can reach me on the website, which is clutterbusters.com, or on Facebook at Clutterbusters. Anything that says Clutterbusters, you can find me. And that's the best way.
And Betsy's actually been on the hoarding TV shows. I was once channel surfing.
We specialize in hoarder situations. So literally when I say we've seen everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the diapers filled with lots of stuff.
And my April theme is going to be spring cleaning and planting new seeds. So very, very relevant. You have to get rid of a lot of crap in order to move on with your new life. Ariel, how can people reach you?
Yeah. So the best way to reach us if you're interested in acquiring our services would be to go onto our website, fill out the form, kind of get familiar with what we do and how we work. We've got plenty of examples of our work on the site, et cetera. And then we have a conversation and kind of determine, okay, do we want to move on? We build a proposal from there and work with you. So we're very diagnostic. We treat people individually. So it's really important that we make sure that you're a good fit for us as much as we are a good fit for you. As far as media and other things like that, I can be contacted via email. I've got some social media channels out there. There's quite a few.
If you could just remind everybody what your company name is.
It's Muse. Some people hear news. Muse, MUSE, Street Marketing.
Cool. Thank you, Ariel. And Nancy.
Well, of course, I can be found on LinkedIn or Facebook under Nancy Rosenfeld, and I do speak nationally. Next month, I'll be a keynote flying 5,000 miles from Maui to Florida on topics related to my father's story and synchronicity and going for your dreams. The easiest way is with my newest book. It will link you to the other books, is 50 cents for a life.weebly.com. And if you want the book, you can get it there or on Amazon. And all my books are on the website and on Amazon. And the name of the latest one is 50 Cents for a Life, a true story of surviving by synchronicity. Thank you.
Heather.
So people could reach me at buccianocommunications.com. And if there's any authors or experts or consultants who would like to expand their visibility and their strategic outreach, I'd love to have a conversation. So Bucciano, it's a little bit, with the double C, Bucciano, but nice Italian name, Bucciano Communications.
And last but not least, Franny.
I tried to be normal, but it was taken. Is the name of my new book, my audiobook, which is going to be released by the end of the month. It's also Kindle. I have tons of, traditionally published, blah, 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 but that's the one that points to nervous system regulation, humming, and all of this stuff. My journey out of inherited PTSD into what I coined PTJO, post-traumatic joy overload, shares a lot of my processes. You can find me at frannysheridan.com. at Franny Sheridan on Facebook. I go live there every Thursday at noon and share these, all these things. And also TikTok, 9 a.m. EST at the real Franny Sheridan, because there's so many clones now.
Yes, and I know we're all going to be humming for the rest of the day.
I always hum. I'm a hummer.
Beautiful.
Obviously, if you're listening to or watching this, you have found me at least once, but please follow me. Nancy AF _ is my Instagram. I also am on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, every single podcast channel where you may want to listen. Send your friends, send your guests. And I did co-author a book a couple years ago with Jessica Wiederhorn and Emily Cornell, and it's called Manifestation for Skeptics. It's available on Amazon, both as a print version and a digital version. And it basically is a how-to guide on manifestation, vision boarding, but also like taking real action in the real world to make shit happen. So my mother sent me a postcard years ago, which I always keep on display. It says a cowgirl gets up in the morning, decides what she wants to do, and does it. And it has more meaning for me now since my mom has passed away at 95 and I live in Arizona. And so I am at the age of 70 entering my cowgirl manifestation era. So keep on listening, keep on watching, send me your guests, nancyaShenker@gmail.com. And remember to everybody, be age blind. Peace out.
Peace.